Well, first of all, Mayor, thank you so much
You
for
bet.
taking the time to speak with us. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So listen, it's day 100 of your being the mayor of Vancouver.
Absolutely.
Now, you've served with the city for a long time, both as a
Right.
volunteer and on the council. What's the difference being at the top?
Oh my gosh, all of those emails that go to the council, I have the great honor of answering. Before, we just have a policy, if a general email comes to all of us, the mayor has that responsibility to answer it. And so before, all the other mayors took care of it and you could just ignore it and walk away, but no, now we have to take care of all of those. But I think it's also all of the requests from the children who want to send you their top issue. And will you please respond? And so being a retired teacher, I tend to still get my red pen out and circle capitalization, punctuation, spelling, and then my response in black ink.
There's a lot of that.
No one was interested when I was a planning commissioner or just a counselor, but the mayor, we got a response from the mayor.
So there's so much opportunity in the city for development and for growth. How do you balance that with affordable housing, with trying to, this is a big weighty question.
It is. Unfortunately, it's not just for the city of Vancouver. When I've been with mayors at the national level and all of our mayors in Southwest Washington, we have dinner and have lunch with all the mayors and our lunch with the metro mayors. We're all trying to balance this because all of us are wanting greater jobs, which means businesses need to come in, which means the employees want to get closer to the business, which means transportation issues, but the housing piece is our biggest problem right now. And the rents skyrocketed a couple of years ago. They're starting to come down because of the market. We have 4,300 units either in review or in construction, so that's starting to bring down the cost of some of the rents on those leases and such. But wages aren't meeting that 40% increase in the rents. So we're not balancing it very well. And we're depending on all of our partners to help out with this.
The city of Portland, obviously, and somewhat controversially took the steps, I believe a year or two ago, of enacting some new landlord-tenant guidelines, making sure that landlords gave tenants a bigger amount of time, either when they had to vacate or,
Right.
and even in some cases, paying for some of their moving costs. Is that something that the council is looking at this
No,
point?
not really. The council worked with the community on the Affordable Task Force, and that group brought forward the Affordable Task Fund that is $6 million a year for 7 years. It's all very detailed about where all of that money goes. But we also have CDBG, and we have home money that comes from the federal government to the state through the county down to us. So those are our pots of money, and it's very clear where those go. Those organizations take those funds and work with them. But we are relatively new to this housing piece. We're pretty much infrastructure, and until Courtyard Apartments went belly up, we weren't in this business. So we're very careful about stepping into that. We did pass 3 ordinances on how do you determine the income. How does a landlord determine how much money a renter would have, and proper notice for vacating and for rent increases. But that's as far as the council has discussed right now.
Let me move on. You mentioned that 100-year-old bridge.
Right.
We've got to talk about that because that's been a major issue of yours. Now, obviously, we had the Columbia River Crossing project that collapsed after spending $100+ million.
Yes.
It seems as if our partners in Oregon, after bellying up to the table and being spurned by the legislature in Olympia, now it seems like Olympia is willing to come back to the table, and now Oregon is like, now we've moved on, now we're going with tolling or value pricing to cut down congestion.
Well, yes and no, but you're absolutely right. So 20 years ago, when we started working on this, and we had several different task forces appointed by both governors. I was on the second one. Governor Locke appointed me to the Trade and Transportation Task Force, and that's when we realized that this bridge was not just for commuters, but all the trucks that were going across and such. Losing it 5 years ago was a true heartbreak. a lot of people are feeling right now, oh, my heart is broken, I don't want to discuss it. Well, we can't wait. This is, sorry, but we have new people in our community. But things have changed in both of our communities, with the Port of Portland changing whether or not they're going to be shipping cargo containers by water, or they're going to be putting them on rail or putting them back on the road. That's a big issue when you see the semis rolling up and down I-5 on this bridge. Oregon actually has continued the conversation. So I sit on JPAC, which is the Joint Transportation for both states. We have Bi-State, which has that discussion. We have Metro, which we are able to sit at the table on that. Their individuals come and sit on our Regional Transportation Council. So the conversation has been continuing, but what it means is that we need now to close the table a little bit and actually get them to the table to make the plan of how to move this forward.
Do you have in your mind a kind of bridge that you would like to see? Because that was where there were so many different ideas.
Sure.
Do we have light rail? Do we have more lanes, just the same number of lanes, and just get rid of the lift span? How do we deal with spending all of that money and potentially not having a bridge that allows more traffic capacity?
Right.
So in your mind, do you have an idea of kind of what you would like that bridge to look like?
Well, what I would like, what my colleagues would like, might be a moot point, because the city of Vancouver, if we have a say in this bridge, it's that it gets built. But if we have any say, it's the decision of 2 states and 2 legislatures and 2 governors that have more of a say than the city of Vancouver. Personally, commuting across that bridge for 25 years as a teacher, if I have an accident, I want to be able to pull off. I want shoulders on the bridge. That's the big piece of what I'm looking for. I don't need colored tile on the bridge. I don't need anything fancy. I'm sure there's some wonderful engineering designs that would work just fine. I do need mass transit. And mass transit is what paid for the bridge the last time. It didn't make any difference what mass transit, but the money 15 years ago was there for mass transit. That mass transit money is not there now. So we're going to have to go back to the federal government to ask what money is there and how can we build this bridge? Or is it just going to be the 2 states? But this is an interstate, and the federal government should have a major role in helping us plan it, prepare it, design it, maintain it, operate it, and fund it. And right now, we don't know if any of that's possible.
South of that bridge, obviously, you mentioned you sit on JPAC,
right.
Conversation going on that folks on this side of the bridge are very keenly interested in, and that is the idea of value pricing,
That's
aka
right.
tolling. First question I wanted to ask you, February 28th, the end of that meeting, as it was starting to get over, there was a statement made that we don't have consensus. That was the one where they boiled it down to the 5 existing options now.
Mm-hmm.
That process, in the sense of these are our 5 options, but it felt like there wasn't a consensus. Do you feel like that was a democratic process? Do you feel like the panel should have been able to vote on what those options were?
No, because part of the charter for that particular organization, as you know, I sit on that value pricing advisory committee. Part of the charter was that they would use the consensus process to make decisions. So we knew right up in front, this was not a vote type of up or down, count the noses, that sort of routine, that they would be using the consensus process. So as we have looked at this, and as we have continued to look at it, we know that when we replace the I-5 bridge, there will be tolls on that bridge to help pay for the construction, maintenance, and operation of it. And I think people understand that when they pay tolls, they get something that improves the quality of that road, that bridge, or congestion. As we look at this tolling process that Oregon is discussing, especially this one of the 5 right here at the HOV lanes, we're not seeing the mitigation that takes care of the congestion. It seems at this stage, that it's merely generating revenue for them to use at the Abernathy Bridge or at the Stafford project, but not here. So if they're going to use tolling, we think they can use that for the maintenance and operation and replacement of the I-5 bridge.